Here are the top stories for today, November 30, 2021.
The bravery and patriotism of God Andres Bonifacio must serve as our guiding post in beating the odds that hinder our progress as a people and as a nation.
President Rodrigo Duterte called on the Filipinos to be a hero by participating actively in the task of nation building.
Kaya naisip ko na siguro ay hindi ko pa po panahon sa ngayon. I am withdrawing from the race. I am willing to make the supreme sacrifice for the good of our country and for the sake of unity among our supporters and leaders.
Senator Bong Go announced his withdrawal from the presidential race. Filipinos may soon go back to the wearing of face shield amid the threat of the Omicron variant. And enrollment and scholarship application is now made easier with the use of PhilID. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte called on the Filipinos to be a hero by participating actively in the task of nation building. This as the country commemorates the 158th birth anniversary of God Andres Bonifacio. During a speech at the Pinaglabanan Shrine in San Juan City this morning, the president emphasized the importance of remembering Bonifacio's heroism as it continued to provide a sense of hope, determination, and optimism for today's generation of Filipinos.
The bravery and patriotism of God Andres Bonifacio and many of our forebears who fought against foreign dominators must serve as our guiding post in beating the odds that hinder our progress as a people and as a nation.
The president congratulated San Juan City for successfully hosting the celebration in the Pinaglabanan Shrine, which played an important role in the Katipunan's quest for Philippine independence. He also thanked the National Historical Commission of the Philippines for undertaking the restoration and rehabilitation of the historical and cultural landmarks.
I congratulate the San Juan City government for successfully hosting this year's celebration in the Pinaglabanan Shrine, which played an important role in the Katipunan's quest for Philippine independence. Let me likewise thank the National Historical Commission of the Philippines for undertaking the restoration and rehabilitation of these historical and cultural landmarks as those that this provide the new generation of Filipinos a glimpse of our long and colorful history and heritage. I believe that by revisiting and honoring our past, we will be able to impart a stronger sense of nationhood to the present and future generations of Filipinos.
Still, with the commemoration of God Andres Bonifacio's heroism, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana urged Filipinos to follow the hero's footsteps by safeguarding the country's freedom. Bonifacio was one of the chief Katipunan officers and emerged as the Supremo in 1895. The Katipunan inspired many Filipinos to join the movement that eventually became the most prominent revolutionary force the Spaniards faced. Lorenzana said that just like Bonifacio, may we all become faithful stewards of our nation's freedom and dedicate ourselves in the service of our fellow men. Meanwhile, PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar echoed President Duterte's call to be inspired by Bonifacio's patriotism, bravery, and sense of camaraderie. In a statement, he said, God Andres Bonifacio's profound courage and fervor in pursuit of our country's independence have truly and greatly contributed to the freedoms we are relishing today. The commemoration of Bonifacio's birth anniversary was generally peaceful. The NCRPO has deployed 1,000 police in major areas of Metro Manila for the metro-wide event, and no untoward incident has been reported. While Metro Manila is anticipating the shift to Alert Level 1 this December, Cabinet Secretary and Acting Presidential Spokesperson Carlo Nograles said the IATF is still finalizing the parameters for the possible de-escalation. Octa Research earlier said Metro Manila is ready for Alert Level 1 as long as the downward trend in COVID-19 cases is sustained. However, Nograles emphasized the need to be vigilant amid the threat of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. So far, Alert Level 2 is imposed in Metro Manila and most areas in the country, while the province of Apayao shall be placed under Alert Level 3 from December 1st to December 15th. The wearing of face shields may be reimposed amid the looming threat of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. During last night's Talk to the People address, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said the government will still reimpose the previous pandemic response in anticipation of the cases surge due to the newly detected Omicron variant.
Now, ako ang talagang face shield ay under the 3C's context in the closed spaces, mag-face shield, in crowded areas, in close contact settings, just like in the transport sector, where people, as we have increased the carrying capacities of our public utility vehicles, I think now, with the threat of this Omicron variant, it will be an added layer of protection that will really be good for the public.
Meanwhile, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said the use of face shields under the alert level system may still be reimposed for the health and safety of the people.
Hindi naman po natin talaga totally na-discard yung face shield. In-integrate lang po natin doon sa alert level system na sa alert level 1 to 3 ay voluntary po. Alert level 4 may discretion ang LGU to impose. Alert level 5 talaga mandatory. So with the policy na naging voluntary siya at alert level 2 po yung buong Pilipinas except isang probinsya lang na nasa alert level 3 yung Apayao po. Pero nakita po natin na buwaba din naman yung number. But of course, pag pumasok po yung Omicron at tumaas yung alert level, i-impose po ulit natin. Para pong sa layman's term, yung face shield po parang payong. Pag malakas ang ulan, nagpapayong po tayo. Pero pag wala ng ulan, pwedeng itabi lang muna yung payong. Pero pag uulan o kaya nakita natin na maulap, dadala po ng payong. So, andun pa rin po siya sa ating policy.
Meanwhile, only countries, jurisdictions, and territories that announce local transmission of the new COVID-19 variants are included in the Philippines' red list or destinations at high risk of COVID-19 infection. Cabinet Secretary and Acting Presidential Spokesperson Carlo Nograles made the clarification amid calls to include Hong Kong on the red list. Nograles explained that since Hong Kong has only confirmed imported infections as of Sunday, it will remain on the yellow list or destinations at moderate risk of COVID-19 infection.
Ang napagdesisyonan po namin sa IATF, yung pagre-red list ng mga countries, will be dependent kung meron na pong local case ng Omicron doon sa bansa na yon. Kung may local case ng Omicron sa mga bansang yon. Kung imported case po siya, ang IATF, a decision ng IATF, kung imported case at hindi local case ng Omicron, kung imported case po siya, then we have the option of retaining the status of the country, whether yellow or green. Pero, pwede pong ma-override yan kung sa tingin ng IATF at ng mga eksperto natin ay hindi ganon kaganda ang nakikita natin na surveillance activities na ginagawa doon sa bansang yon at hindi ganon kaganda at hindi tayo ganon ka-confident sa ginagawa nilang mga genome sequencing at hindi rin tayo confident sa pagdedetect ng mga local cases ng Omicron sa bansang iyon. Otherwise, kung ito'y imported case at hindi local case, ay nasa discretion po ng IATF na i-retain yung current listing niya, whether green or yellow.
President Rodrigo Duterte said the government can use its police power to compel citizens to get vaccinated against COVID-19. In his Talk to the People address, President Rodrigo Duterte said he favors mandatory vaccination against COVID-19 should the government's COVID-19 task force start to implement the policy. Duterte's preference for a mandatory vaccination policy comes amid the looming threat of Omicron. He said he could not understand why there are still people who refuse the COVID-19 vaccine.
I may agree with the task force if they decide to make it mandatory. It's for public health. No, kung ayaw mo, huwag kang lumabas. Itong mga tao na ayaw talaga magpabakuna because of whatever, religious or I mean no offense. Pero yung ayaw magpabakuna, madali lang man yan. Mamili ka. Matagal kang mabuhay o gusto mo nang mamatay. Diyan sa dalawa na, pag kumapit yung COVID na yan, hindi pa natin alam itong Omicron, patay na. Mamili kayo. Early demise or live longer. No, under the police power of the state, I can compel you.
Meanwhile, the president suggested keeping COVID-19 vaccination sites open daily to accommodate more individuals.
Kasi alam mo yung mga tao, Sabado, pamilya, at about the only time that they have really the extra space to bahay, linggo, lalo linggo, simba, wala nang, kaya yung, tsaka walang masyado magtrabaho. We make actually the vaccine stations open kung maaari Monday to Sunday, even if it would mean a lesser crowd. Ang importante kasi dito mabakuna because isang hawa ito, hawa lahat.
On to our update on the ongoing nationwide Bayanihan Bakunahan vaccination drive from Marita Mawahe.
The medical teams of the armed forces of the Philippines are deployed in the so-called geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas or GIDAs to administer COVID-19 vaccines there. 25 medical teams in various AFP unified commands are sent in the areas. Each medical team is composed of 5 members with a doctor and nurses. Moreover, 37 other teams are also deployed to provide manpower support to civilian medical units, such as the hauling of medical supplies and materials for use in the vaccination campaign. Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police deployed 7 teams to assist in the ongoing Bayanihan Bakunahan program in Metro Manila. Each team is composed of 70 health service and medical reserve staff. And in Quezon City, the local government mobilized additional healthcare workers from the Quezon City Police District's Bureau of Fire Protection and medical groups to ramp up their vaccination drive. Quezon City aims to vaccinate 150,000 individuals until tomorrow using its remaining procured AstraZeneca jobs. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muaje.
Dr. Edsel Salvania of the DOH Technical Advisory Group is pushing for the ramping up of COVID-19 vaccination amid the looming threat of the Omicron variant. Last night's meeting with the President, Salvania said the newly identified variant may be less susceptible to vaccines in preventing infection, but the efficacy would not be zero.
So this is the newest, most mutated variant, Mr. President. So it is possibly more transmissible than Delta, although hindi pa ito sigurado, but this is what WHO is watching out for. And for now, there are no early indications that it is deadlier. So hindi po siya mas nakamamatay. There are no early indications that patients are getting sicker. In fact, the early findings are mukhang baka mas mild. Kung swertihin po tayo, Mr. President, baka mas mild dito, although we are still watching for additional data. The problem is this may be less susceptible to our vaccines in preventing infection, but it's not going to be zero po. Mababawasan lang if ever. And we still expect that the vaccines will continue to protect against severe disease. Sabi rin naman po ng manufacturers, kung mukhang mababa talaga yung efficacy, they can also tweak the vaccines po.
Salvaña said among the recommendations to delay the entry of the variant would be to escalate the green country protocols into yellow country protocols to enhance the monitoring of people coming to the country. Aside from vaccination and tighter border controls, Salvaña said adhering to the minimum public health protocols such as wearing face mask and face shield and physical distancing would help curb the spread of the disease.
Marami pa pong questions tayo about Omicron, but it is always better to be safe than sorry. While we are waiting for these answers, it is best to ingatan po natin. As we know, nahirapan po tayo sa Delta, although our preparations naman was able to decrease the impact of Delta. As we said, the vaccines will still work. It's possible the potency will decrease, but there are solutions to this po. The testing and the treatment will remain the same. And while we are waiting for more data, it is prudent to protect our borders and further accelerate vaccination po.
Still to come, the COMELEC schedules mock elections on December 29 in preparation for the 2022 polls. Malacanang urges the public to stay safe from COVID-19 as they prepare for the holiday season. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Muñoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Paolo Medjones po para sa kampanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit ba kailangan magparehistro sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Mahalagang magparehistro dahil ito ang unang step sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19. May 3 pamamaraan upang makapagrehistro ang isang Pilipino na nais mabakunahan. Una, ang online registration sa inyong local government unit o LGU. Pangalawa, ang pagpunta sa mga vaccination centers at pagkuha ng registration form. At pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga pinuno ng barangay o sa mga barangay health center. Tandaan, online, sa mga vaccination site o sa mga barangay health centers ang pagpaparehistro sa pagpapabakuna kontra COVID-19. Muli ako po si Paolo Medjones, Disiplina Muna Ambassador na nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna. Bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro at magpabakuna para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan. Disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado.
Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo announces his withdrawal from the presidential race. Go, who is a longtime aide of President Duterte, said he does not want to put the president in the middle pertaining to the candidacy of Davao City Mayor and presidential daughter Sara Duterte.
Kaya naisip ko na siguro ay hindi ko pa po panahon sa ngayon. I am withdrawing from the race. I am willing to make the supreme sacrifice for the good of our country and for the sake of unity among our supporters and leaders.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, meanwhile said that there will be no substitution on Go's withdrawal and it won't accept any filings as today is a holiday. Preparations for the May 2022 elections are in full swing as the Commission on Elections sets up mock exercises to ensure safe, secure, and pandemic-free polls. More on this from Marita Mawahe.
The Commission on Elections will be holding mock polls in several places in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao on December 29 in preparation for the May 9, 2022 national and local elections. COMELEC Deputy Executive Director Tofisto Elnas Jr. said they will have an end-to-end demonstration of the whole voting process. The mock polls will be held in selected areas in Isabela, Albay, Negros Oriental, Leyte, Maguindanao, Davao del Sur, and Pasay and Taguig in Metro Manila. On the other hand, COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said the poll body will have a meeting with the Interagency Task Force to discuss further preparations for the mock polls. Jimenez also allayed fears that the May 2022 elections on a national scale would be cancelled if the COVID-19 pandemic worsens. He said people will have to be extra careful without losing the possibility of free and fair elections. Jimenez said cancellation of election might happen in one area but not on a national scale. He also believed that the new COVID-19 variant called Omicron will not affect the preparations for next year's elections. Meanwhile, the COMELEC has received nearly 90 petitions seeking the cancellation or denial of due course of the Certificate of Candidacy. 2 of the 89 petitions have been filed against the presidential aspirant Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. by Father Christian Buenafe and Tiburcio Villamor Marcos. Marcos has said he is qualified to run for president in the upcoming 2022 elections. In other news, ACT-CIS Party List Representative Nina Taduran has asked the COMELEC to stop candidates from distributing cash, groceries, or any other form of ayuda or aid. Taduran expressed support for a proposed amendment stopping those who have filed a certificate of candidacy from giving away aid to prospective voters. She considers giving aid in cash or kind as indirect vote buying. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muaje.
With Christmas coming in a few weeks, Malacanang is reminding everyone to stay safe and follow minimum public health standards amid the threat of Omicron variant of COVID-19. Cabinet Secretary and acting presidential spokesperson Carlo Nograles said, aside from wearing face masks, washing hands, and keeping distance, the public is urged to participate in the last day of the country's 3-day national vaccination drive or Bayanihan Bakunahan on December 1. Nograles said the national government is prepared for the worst-case scenario should there be another surge in COVID-19 cases following the discovery of the Omicron variant. The Omicron variant, which was first detected in Botswana, Southern Africa, has been declared as a variant of concern by the World Health Organization. The WHO, however, said there is no evidence so far concerning the transmissibility or severity of the Omicron variant. The Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, is urging higher education institutions to do their part to reach herd immunity, especially as Filipinos participate in the 3-day national vaccination drive. CHED Chair J. Prospero de Vera III said that the HEI vaccination has gained momentum nationwide amid increasing numbers of inoculated students and faculty members. The latest weekly report shows 82% of facility members and employees have received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, a 10% rise from October's records. As of November 25, all regions have reported 70% and above vaccination coverage among HEI staff. Central Luzon, Eastern Visayas, Davao, and the Cordillera Administrative Region also reported close to 90% HEI personnel vaccination rate. Among students, at least 1.8 million tertiary students from 2013 HEIs have been vaccinated, or 40% from 30% in October. For the 3-day national vaccination drive, CHED targets approximately 320 HEIs, over 9,400 HEI volunteers, and about 211,000 students. The Cebu City Police issued a stern warning that they will intensify efforts to neutralize drug personalities and others involved in the illegal drug trade. This came as 2 drug suspects yielded a total of 13.7 million pesos worth of illegal drugs, suspected shabu in a Sunday night sting operation. Cebu City Police Office Director Colonel Josefino Ligan reported the arrest of Vince Nil Arnaiz, a high-value target known as a warehouseman of drug syndicate members, and his cohort Jesse Llanos Caballero. He said law enforcers managed to buy from Arnaiz a huge volume of shabu during the buy-bust operation along C. Padilla Street. Ligan also said the suspect could only dispose of his illegal drug supply to neighboring localities in Metro Cebu. He said the city police is now conducting an investigation to identify Arnaiz's source of illegal drug supply and his colleagues in the drug syndicate. In Negros Occidental, a resident of San Carlos City yielded 476,000 pesos worth of suspected shabu during a buy-bust on Sunday afternoon. Suspect Junri Gitgit was arrested while he transacted with a poser buyer at the Center Mall near the City Hall in Barangay Palampas. The suspect is now under the custody of San Carlos City Police Station. Earlier, Mayor Renato Bustillo said the city government is finding ways to clear San Carlos City of the drug menace. Last Friday, Bustillo joined officials of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA in witnessing the thermal destruction of 53.4 million pesos worth of illegal drugs. Over 20,000 people linked to the CPP, NPA, and DF have left the local armed struggle through the whole-of-nation approach to the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC. Defense Secretary and Task Force Balik Loob Chair Reynaldo Mapagu said that since the start of the Duterte administration in 2016, the government has recorded over 20,000 surrenderers, which included NPA fighters, militia ng bayan, mass supporters, and underground members. These former rebels have revealed the locations of 51 NPA arms caches nationwide, yielding 245 firearms and 100 improvised explosive devices and anti-personnel mines. Mapagu added that the government has spent over 500 million pesos in various programs to aid former rebels to live peaceful and productive lives. He said former regular members of the communist terrorist groups receive assistance such as psychological development, housing, and livelihood projects. Once they are integrated back into the community, the NTF-LCAC's Barangay Development Program is activated as they work to be productive citizens. Up next, President Duterte confers presidential awards to 7 outstanding foreign service personnel. And Dapitan City seeks to revive its tourism industry with the Lakbay Pinas project. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Kung customer ka, pupuntahan mo ba yung mukhang safe naman o yung certified na safe? Ang safety seal ay patunay na certified safe ang iyong business dahil nasusunod ang minimum public health standards. Meron din itong QR code para mapadali ang contact tracing. Ito ay libre lang. Pero, kailangang i-renew every 6 months or every year kung nasa tourism sector ang iyong business. Kung meron ka ng mga documents na ito, pwede ka na mag-apply para sa Safety Seal Certification. May iba-ibang office para sa iba't ibang klase ng mga negosyo. Pag na-determine nyo na ang issuing authority, simple lang ang steps para makuha ang safety seal. Pumunta sa office ng issuing authority o sa kanilang website. Kumuha ng safety seal checklist at magsagawa ng self-assessment para sa iyong business. I-submit ang checklist at abangan ang inspection schedule. Pag na-approve ang application, bibigyan kayo ng safety seal sticker. Pag hindi naman na-approve, sasabihin kung anong health standard ang hindi nasunod at bibigyan kayo ng pagkakataong ayusin ito. Pag nakuha na ang safety seal, ipaskil ito sa may entrance para makita agad ng mga customer. Pwede nyo rin ipagmalaki na certified safe kayo sa inyong mga social media pages. Paalala lamang, ang isang safety seal ay para sa isang branch lang. Siguraduhin bawat branch mo ay certified safe. Siguraduhin din na nasusunod palagi ang minimum public health standards dahil baka mabawi ang iyong certification. Maaring mag-operate kahit na walang safety seal. Pero hindi ba mas mahalagang kampante ang mga customer sa loob ng iyong negosyo? Kaya kumuha na ng safety seal para ingat-angat tayong lahat.
President Rodrigo Duterte has conferred 7 Foreign Service personnel with 2 of the highest presidential awards in recognition of their exemplary service to the people and the nation. The awardees received the Order of Sikatuna and Gawad Mabini, 2 of the highest presidential awards. Duterte acknowledged their efforts in upholding the country's independent foreign policy and ensuring the welfare of Filipinos at home and abroad. He also expressed hope that they would continue serving the people and nation to the best of their abilities. The Order of Sikatuna is an order of diplomatic merit conferred upon individuals who have rendered exceptional and meritorious services to the Republic of the Philippines. Gawad Mabini is conferred on Filipinos who have rendered distinguished foreign service or helped promote the interests and prestige of the Philippines abroad. The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, is encouraging out-of-school youths to apply for a PhilSys national ID to help them enroll back to school and even apply for scholarships. The PSA said there are about 7 million out-of-school youths in the country, majority of whom have no valid ID or documents. Now that the PhilSys is on full gear, they will have a chance to avail of the Philippine Identification Card or the National ID. Aside from being absolutely free, the PhilID has a lifetime validity which individuals can forever use in various transactions. In the absence of other valid IDs, a birth certificate authenticated by the PSA or local civil registrar or barangay certificate with the holder's address and photo will be accepted in registration centers. More than 40 million Filipinos have completed the PhilSys registration process as of October. In sports, the Philippine Sports Commission has given both EJ Obiena and the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association, or PATAFA, until December 15 to agree upon the parameters set for the mediation process. PSC Chairman Butch Ramirez appealed to PATAFA and Obiena to submit the mediation amid reports that the tension between both sides has reached international sports communities. He stressed the need for mediation so that the parties can reconcile, open communication lines, and continue their work. Obiena earlier named longtime mentor Jim Lafferty and attorney Bobet Bruce to be his spokesperson. The Philippine Olympics Committee is also looking to finish its probe on the feud between PATAFA and Obiena as quickly as possible. Philippine Rowing Association Chief Pato Gregorio, the chairman of the POC's Ethics Committee, however, clarified that it is taking the probe one step at a time. Dapitan City is getting the boost it needs for its pandemic time tourism industry with the launching of the Lakbay Pinas project on December 1. The Lakbay Pinas will be opened at the glorious Fantasyland theme park. It is a mini museum that features historical and natural tourism destinations in the country and a showcase of Filipino traditions and heritage. The launching of Lakbay Pinas will be held on December 1st, simultaneously with a switch on of Christmas decorations of the city. The city government is taking advantage of the easing of COVID-19 restrictions to revive the tourism industry of Dapitan City, which is known as the Shrine City of the Philippines. The province of Lanao del Sur and Iligan City are among those that joined the government's nationwide vaccination drive against COVID-19. Each LGU is targeting 70% of their population to be vaccinated. Claire Gighe has the story.
The province of Lanao del Sur began yesterday the most aggressive vaccination drive of the government, aiming to inoculate 300,000 individuals against the dreadful coronavirus disease or COVID-19.
What we were aiming is to reach as much as possible the number of persons here in Lanao del Sur so we can get nearer to our goal of providing community protection or herd immunity.
According to Minalang, only 9% of the target population in Lanao del Sur were declared fully vaccinated, and such achievement is way behind the herd immunity level. That is why they have to work double time. To do this, more than 300 vaccination hubs were opened in the different municipalities in the province to cater to vaccinists during the 3-day vaccination drive. In Marawi City, the local government welcomed the overwhelming response of its citizenry as they opened 11 vaccination hubs.
So overwhelming yung acceptance ngayon ng mga ating mga kababayan dito sa Bayanihan Pakunahan. I hope magtuloy-tuloy ito hanggang ma-reach yung 70% target natin.
Currently, the City Health Office or CHO has vaccinated 23% of the eligible population, which constitutes 30,000 residents, but only 11% is fully vaccinated. As such, the leading stressed they still have to inoculate more, targeting 27,000 vaccines per day. Meanwhile, in Iligan City, the local government unit is eyeing to administer COVID-19 vaccines to 20,000 to 25,000 individuals daily during the 3-day national vaccination program. Acting City Health Officer Belinda Lim shared that the LGU aims to vaccinate 70% of the total population in the city before the year ends.
So, nagsugod man taong daghan na bakunahan sa first dose atong November. Mugyo na ihandom sa local government unit nga before magbagong tuig, ma-herd immunity yun ta.
Now that each LGU strives to hit its target, they continuously appeal to the public to not believe in fake news and get vaccinated as soon as possible to restore normalcy in everyone's lives and open up the country's economy once again. For PNA Newsroom, Claire Gigha of the Philippine Information Agency Region 10.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
The bravery and patriotism of God Andres Bonifacio must serve as a guiding post in beating the odds that hinder our progress as a people and as a nation.
President Rodrigo Duterte called on the Filipinos to be a hero by participating actively in the task of nation building.
Kaya naisip ko na siguro ay hindi ko pa po panahon sa ngayon. I am withdrawing from the race. I am willing to make the supreme sacrifice for the good of our country and for the sake of unity among our supporters and leaders.
Senator Bong Go announced his withdrawal from the presidential race. Filipinos may soon go back to the wearing of face shield amid the threat of the Omicron variant. And enrollment and scholarship application is now made easier with the use of PhilID. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is exactly 25 days more to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day. Stay safe, everyone.